everyone. Welcome to Women's Work Live, Detroit edition. My name is Judith Norman, and I am the founder of Start TV. Start TV is a multimedia company that highlights the entrepreneurial journeys of multicultural women. And we are so excited to be here today. We thank Detroit Startup Week for the opportunity. And last year, I had the opportunity to meet some of Detroit's most inspiring women entrepreneurs when I came to the city to interview them and to do a photo shoot for our upcoming book, also titled Women's Work. It's actually a book series, and it's a book that is 5 books featuring interviews with female founders in 5 different cities, and Detroit is one of those cities. And so I'm fortunate today to have some of the ladies that we featured in the book here with us to come in and share a bit of their story. Now, this experience that we're having today is not going to be a one-way conversation. We are actually we encourage you to ask your questions and submit your comments in the chat room. And I'm going to introduce you to Olivia Pearson. She is going to be moderating our chat room today. So Olivia, if you can go ahead and unmute yourself and then introduce yourself and give us our chat room guidelines, please.
Hey, so my name's Olivia Pearson. I'm a multifaceted social media buff that helps brands share their stories. Today I'll be moderating these questions for you. Feel free to just type it in, and I'll go ahead and just look at our answer.
All right, thank you, Olivia. So that housekeeping is done. We do ask that you keep your microphones on your devices muted. And let's get ready to launch Women's Work Live Detroit. So I have a confession. I'm not from Detroit. I don't even live in Detroit. Last year, I visited Detroit twice. And after the first time, I fell in love with the city of Detroit. I mean, Woodward Avenue, the People Mover, the people, the Cuba line, the museums, everything. I fell in love with that city. That city gave me just a sense of energy and purpose when I visited. And so I'm not the only one who thinks that Detroit is amazing. I want to share with you what some of the ladies who are featured in the book had to say about what makes Detroit special. Take a look. Detroit is the American dream. It's the place where you can come, work hard, build from the ground up, and raise your family and have a nice living. And it's always been that, and even though it's had its trials and tribulations, the spirit has always been there, the grind has been here, and it's coming back. Detroit has the soul that you can live, breathe, and see. And the soul's been something that's been persisting for the entire time that Detroit's been a thing. It's really nice because despite everything that Detroit's been through, you can still see that soul in the art, the music, the food, the culture, and even the people that live here and the people that are walking down the street. So I think it's really beautiful. Detroit is beautiful because of the people, the community, and the collaborations just come together and everybody's supporting each other. It makes it a great place to live and work. So these are actually photos that will be in the Women's Work Detroit book. And as I look at them, I remember how much of a risk I took coming to a city that I'd never been to before, or I didn't know anyone. I had to put together an entire production team. We're talking photographer, videographer, makeup, hair, production assistant, and it even secured the place for the photo shoot, which happened to be the Detroit Foundation Hotel private dining room. And had to put all of that together, spent my own money, but we got it done because that's what bosses do. So if you're uncomfortable with risk, entrepreneurship may not be for you. My first guest today is Jamie Judson. She's the owner of City Bark, a pet store in Detroit. And I'd like to welcome her. Jamie?
Hi, Judith. Thank you for having me today.
Hi, Jamie. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Now, Jamie, what made you, a girl from the suburbs, who's also a millennial, think that you could go up against the big guys in the pet industry?
To be completely honest, I really didn't think about the giant retailers when I started my business. I think most people don't start a business because they want to do the same exact thing as someone else. They think that they can do it better or put a different spin on it. So I never wanted to be the next PetSmart or giant retailer. To me, these stores are kind of boring. They're an errand. They're not an experience. So pets are such an important part of our life, and I really wanted to create a unique shopping experience that reflected that.
Okay, now originally City Bark was located in the suburbs, but you decided to move the store to downtown Detroit. What type of risk was that for you professionally and even personally?
Well, I did a lot of research before I moved the business downtown. My sister and I actually pretended that we were students doing a project about pet owners in the city for a college course. So we called every single apartment complex within 5 miles of the downtown area to see if they were pet friendly, how many units had pets, what kind of pets they were. It was really clear that there was a need for the business in the city, but even knowing this, it was a huge risk at the time. Professionally, I was taking a store that had been opened for 2 years in an established downtown shopping area. I had loyal customers, amenities like free parking, an accessible alleyway for deliveries, and I was moving it to an area of town that only had 3 businesses open at the time. So when I saw my space, I actually had to climb through an open hole in the wall and walk the perimeter using my cell phone for light. So that was pretty scary. And obviously, personally, there are a lot of financial risks involved. The lease agreement is serious. Rent is higher downtown. I have a very serious landlord who doesn't mess around. So in all honesty, I signed my lease and I cried myself to sleep that night because I was so nervous about what I had done. And obviously there was always my ego that would be bruised if things didn't work out for me.
Oh, okay. So did people tell you that you were crazy to consider moving your store, your business to downtown Detroit?
Yeah, people told me I was crazy. They still tell me I'm crazy. I had a family member last week who told me I was crazy. So people come to the store all the time just to ask me how a pet store survives in the middle of Detroit, if there are even any dogs around. And at this point, I've just learned to laugh it off. Crazy has become a good thing to me.
Now, if you do have questions for Jamie, please put them in the chat room and we'll ask them in a few moments. Now, the pet industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, Jamie, and you're going up against the big guys, the big mass retailers, and then also the very large online shops. So how do you keep yourself motivated when you have to go through this type of competition?
My biggest thing for me is that I have to focus on what I can offer and not really dwell on what I can't. So I let the competition inspire me to try new things in my business, but I don't let it intimidate me to the point where, I worry so much about it that it takes away from my productivity. One of the big things that we strive for at the store is being a resource for the community. So the community is really what keeps me motivated. Customers and their pets, as well as, different rescue organizations we work with and the small businesses that surround us. And it also includes my employees. So surrounding yourself with a strong team, I think, is one of the most important things you can do for yourself as a business owner. So when I go into the store, my employees are positive, motivated, and hardworking. It's really hard for me not to be the same way.
Okay, great. And so now that City Bark is established in the city and successful, what has it taught you about taking risks?
My biggest thing for risk is I don't want to look back in 5 or 10, 15 years and regret not doing something. So I think I'm definitely more confident in taking risks, but I think I'm a smarter risk taker too. I kind of have a process where I don't make decisions spur of the moment. I run these decisions by people I trust. And I mean, I definitely still just listen to my gut.
Okay, great. Jamie. Olivia, do we have any questions for Jamie? You have to unmute yourself, Olivia.
Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
We only have one, and it's how has the new community in Detroit affected your business? This up and coming Detroit.
Up and coming Detroit, I mean, Detroit is constantly changing, so my store is always constantly changing too. You have influx of people that move to the city for a few years and then they leave. So I think I'm constantly adapting my store to, kind of react to these different changes happening as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Jamie, for joining us today and sharing some of your story.
Thank you,
and
Judith.
We wish you all the best. Thank you. Well, women become entrepreneurs for a variety of reasons. And during our photo shoot last year, we asked the ladies why they became an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur because I'm a fourth generation entrepreneur and I believe in building wealth and generational wealth. I'm an entrepreneur because it suits my personal desire to be the kind of leader that I've always wanted everyone else that I've ever worked for to be. I'm an entrepreneur because I wanted to break generational curses in my family. I would like to be able to provide opportunities for people I care about and other individuals just like myself. So for me, I chose entrepreneurship because I like freedom. I wanted to be able to do what I love and make a living out of it. So that was the reason why I chose entrepreneurship. But moving on, as an entrepreneur, one of the things you have to constantly do is pitch yourself to people, either for money or for help. And I remember a time when I was called in. I had a business, and I was trying to get an investor, and I was called into like this big Hollywood agency, and I was just like so excited. And so I went in, met with the agent, and she told me, well, I have this client that I want to share your pitch with. And when she told me the client's name, I was kind of like, yeah. I was like, I gave a stank face. And so she laughed, and she was like, okay, I get it. This may not be the right guy. And the reason why we were both kind of like going, about it was because this particular gentleman did not have a very good reputation about dealing with women. In fact, when I met with the lady, he had several sexual harassment claims against him. So it was just kind of like weird that she was even proposing that I should meet with him. But one thing she told me during that meeting, she said, look, I get it. He may not be the right guy. I understand how you feel, but you cannot do this alone. You will need people to help you. And that statement alone has stuck with me. I mean, every time I face a rejection and my go-to reaction is just to kind of like shut down and say, you know, I'm never going to ask for help again. You know, I'll take care of everything and do it by myself. I hear her voice saying, no, you need people. You cannot do this alone. And so my next guest, Karen Buscemi, is in Detroit, and she is committed to mentoring and providing networking opportunities to the fashion community in Detroit. So I'd like to welcome Karen. Please unmute yourself. You're still, there you are. Hi, Karen. Hi, Karen. So Karen, tell us, how important are mentors to aspiring and even established women entrepreneurs?
I think that you can never be too established to benefit from mentorship. There's always someone who knows more than you in some area of your business. Sometimes people shy away from mentorship because they don't want anyone to know what they don't know. They may feel it gives off a negative appearance, that a business owner maybe doesn't grasp financial statements or how to write a better business plan or how to calculate margins. But you have to think of fellow business owners as people who are there to help. I say just make sure you turn to them with all your ducks in a row, have a brief number of questions ready, because while mentors will give you their time, you'll have a better chance of returning to them again and again over time if you are professional and considerate of their time.
Okay. So what do you do at the Detroit Garment Group?
I try to create programming that will make a positive difference for our fashion community in Michigan. I'm the founder and president, and we've been in existence since 2012. I have a great board of energetic professionals who also want to contribute to making a difference. Our goals are to retain talent, help businesses grow, connect people, teach, and inspire.
Okay. And so regarding when it comes to entrepreneurship, what are some healthy and unhealthy expectations in a mentorship relationship?
You never want to take advantage of another person's time. You never want to break a person's confidence. Celebrate the victories with each other. Provide support when someone experiences disappointment. If you respect people's times and their opinions and provide the same in return, you'll have healthy professional relationships.
Okay. And so what are some of the best ways that women entrepreneurs in Detroit can connect with each other and help?
So there's always professional events going on. We have them in our newsletter. You can find them on social media. And while right now those events are predominantly virtual, we will get back to in-person events, I hope. And, you know, they're really critical for creating and growing relationships and discovering new opportunities. So I regularly tell younger colleagues how often an event has come up, and on the day of the event, I just don't want to go. And I'm sure many other people have felt that way. You know, I'm tired, work was chaotic, don't feel like making the drive. So many reasons to stay home and park myself on the couch. But every single time I go, I always leave the event happy that I went. And it's because I met someone, I reconnected with someone, I learned about someone who can and will help my business, my program, every single time. Every time. So my advice is to get off the couch and get out there, bring business cards, introduce yourself to people. And I always say to practice talking about who you are and what you do and what you need, so you aren't fumbling around for the words when you're really in front of people. You will get a positive result. So it's totally worth it.
Okay, great. Olivia, do we have any questions for Karen about mentorship or anything else? You have to unmute. Olivia, you have to unmute.
She literally answered everything, like, as they were coming. I think that something people might want to know about would be if there were any times where you've ever, I feel like sometimes people misconstrue mentorship with friendship, and it's the professional benefit, right? So have there been any times where you faced some obstacles in mentorship or mentoring someone else, and how did you deal with those things?
The only things that I have experienced that I might say are negative is people asking for mentorship, but then not being professional about following up or, scheduling or making an appointment. So it's really about, I'm happy to mentor people, and I know so many people who will mentor, but we just want you to do what you say that you're going to do and be professional.
Great advice. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
And thank you, Olivia. So it's really interesting. When we planned this Zoom event, we had very big goals. I mean, we were going full production, video, graphics, the whole thing. But then after we did a whole bunch of tests with Zoom for our video, and we just couldn't get Zoom to act right. So that's why you've been seeing the slideshows. We actually have some beautiful video that we took at the photo shoot that was filmed by Desmond Touchtone of My Touch Films, and we have them posted on our Instagram page. We have at least 2 of them. So Olivia, if you can go ahead and post our IG handle, that'll be great. But here's the deal. We had to pivot. So, and that's something that everyone's having to do in every industry these days. And so my next guest, Anatasia Collins, is an event planner in Detroit. And one industry that has been hit really hard. So Anatasia, please come on, unmute yourself, please come on and tell us how you're dealing with this new normal.
Yeah, hi Judith, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
You're very welcome. So tell us, what has this disruption, how has it impacted the event industry?
Yeah, right. So when COVID came and really emerged into Michigan and we had the stay-at-home order go into effect, right, everybody was trying to change what their new normal was, right? So the new normal made its way into the events industry, it's been a really challenging time for an industry whose obviously our business was mainly in-person events, right? So within a few weeks it went from, oh, this seems to be getting kind of serious, like we'll probably be back in a few weeks, to, oh, this is getting really real. Clients are now asking if they need to be canceling events, right? So unfortunately, it wasn't that slow trickle event of effect of events leaving. It was everything just stopped. So it left the industry really vulnerable with not a ton of time to pivot and strategize to retain their clients and then gain their revenue, right? So the restrictions became more intense, limited numbers. So then first things first, change the language of the industry, right? So instead of cancel, we really wanted to change it to postpone, right? We want to postpone these events because the thought process really needed to change, because it wasn't only good for me as a planner, right? Retaining those clients because I don't know the next time one's going to come in, but then also for the clients that I care so much about and I've built that relationship with, we want to be able to support them and their families in any way possible. So then as the months continued to roll on and we're all evolving, the industry really came together, and it was such a beautiful thing to see because we were pivoting together to make this new reality work. So I was and still am attending multiple event workshops just like this in the week, listening to lectures and under other industry pros, because I want to know how everybody's handling this, right? And even my vendors like floral, rental, decor, and venues, I want to see how they're handling the situation as well, so we can all move together. But now I really think the industry is working on the future of events, and whether it be hybrid or virtual like this. For instance, now you can go on your lunch hour to a guided meditation, then head to the DIA for a bit of art in the afternoon, and then take baking class with Sister Pie, right? So you're able to now experience your community in the comfort of your home. So I think this is the new future of events.
It's interesting because prior to the pandemic, there was a lot of investment being made into the event industry, particularly in the women empowerment sector. And so who do you think is going to be able to survive this, and why? Because again, like a lot of magazines, they were very dependent on events. Then you had separate industries, separate companies that just were totally event focused. So who's going to survive and why?
Yeah, I think that if you're an industry player that was quick on your toes and stay connected with other vendors and other people in the industry, you're already way ahead of the game, and you have that stronger chance of surviving in a post-pandemic life. Because of the pandemic, things in the event industry will take a permanent shift in some ways. So with the women empowerment sector that was already great at making those connections and working together towards a common goal, I really think that from where I stand at least, that is only amplified since this all began. So because now people who didn't or couldn't have the opportunity to connect, they now are able to kind of go into new doors with new opportunities. So thousands in the industry are now together listening, and they're learning from each other. And I think it's a little scary terrain for all, but it's new, but I have come to see that there is beauty in all of this, and that people that may have not normally been able to experience something due to travel or something like that can now have the experience in the comfort of their own space. If a company can do something like that, they have a high survival rate. I know that there's companies that also try to change they're adapting. New production studios are coming up so that these virtual events can happen in a more high scale way, right? You're able to sit in a studio with 2 people and stream that out. I know another event company that was really good at shipping, and now they're doing subscription boxes because that was their strong suit, was shipping, and they knew how to ship large orders. So they just changed into there. So just figure out what you're really good at, stick with that, and grow off of it.
Okay, great. Olivia, do we have any questions for Anatasia? And do you want to unmute yourself? Anything?
I am muted. I don't have one. I don't have any.
Okay, well, I think you gave great advice, Anatasia, and we definitely appreciate you and wish you well in with your future events.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Well, I'm a behind the scenes kind of girl. I've never been the type to want to be on camera or share my life publicly or anything like that. As far as I was concerned, my work spoke for me. The quality, the content, as far as I was concerned, hey, that's me. But I started getting feedback from people, again, potential investors, consultants, even customers saying, hey, we want to see you. We want to see your face. We want to know who you are. We want to know your story. And so I had to adapt a bit. And I'll be honest, it hasn't been easy, but I'm trying. And my next guest, Jackie Palmer of the Good Life Agency, is here to share how storytelling can impact your business, especially the bottom line. Jackie, please unmute and join us.
Hi.
Hi, Jackie. Listen, Jackie, we hear this phrase, tell your brand story all the time. But what does that mean, and why is it important?
So your brand story is super important because it's really the way that people fall in love with you. So it gives them a connection. It makes them feel like they know you, like this is my friend, and I understand what she's been through. It makes you super relatable. To give you an example, I remember the time where I was in college and I asked my mom, why do we only use Tide? And she was like, well, because grandma used Tide. And she gave me this story about why our family has always used Tide. I didn't really understand it, but it made me look deeper. And it was like, okay, well, this has some familial history for me. So this is what we use. And it's those things that just make you fall in love. Like, oh, well, this is the first thing that my grandmother did with this. And when you tell those stories to other people, it makes them have that same connection. It creates a relatability that, you know, for another brand just wouldn't make sense for you. So I always tell people, you know, tell your story, be authentic. Don't be afraid to hide whatever you think is crazy about your background. I'm sure there are 5,000 people out there that have something that makes them relate to it, that will make them a stand just for you. So don't ever hesitate about being authentic and genuine in that manner.
So why don't you tell us the Good Life Agency's brand story?
So again, like, you know, I'm all about family, and, you know, you saw my quote, it was all about, you know, family generational wealth and what that looks like. I'm a 4th generation entrepreneur. If you would have told me when I was 12, though, that I would be an entrepreneur, I would tell you you're out of your mind. So my grandfather was an entrepreneur, my mother was an entrepreneur. And so, you know, as I grew up, I didn't realize that I was being groomed for this family business. And as I moved through corporate America, you know, I decided, you know, hey, Mom, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to actually do this. You know, what will this look like? You know, I know this is what I learned from, you know, from my grandfather and working in his shop. This is what I learned from you being a consultant. And now I'm going out to corporate America, and I've helped all of these other brands, you know, give their brand the good life. But how do we do this when I come home? What does that look like? How do we grow brands in Detroit? How do we grow brands nationally? What does that look like? And so 9 times out of 10, if I tell someone our company name, they immediately think of Kanye. And they're like, oh, that's what it means. And it goes a little bit deeper. While that's a great story, you know, and that could be a part of it, it really is about, you know, you are fortunate enough to have some talent that you're really, really good at. And we believe in breathing life into it. And so that's really where the name came from. You know, if you're really good at something, it should be your life purpose. It should be something that you share and try to, you know, create purpose for other people's lives. And that was how we came up with the name. And that's our story. So it's really about, you know, if you're given something, how do you constantly showcase that good in your life on a daily basis?
Awesome. So for businesses, storytelling, is it like a one-time thing? You just tell your story one time, or do you have to basically come up with new stories throughout the lifespan of your business? This is an ongoing thing. That's
what most people do tend to think, you know, okay, I came up with this brand story. This is what it is. I'm doing this campaign and that's it. So what's very different about our process that we walk clients through, it's 3-pronged. And so we literally ask you probably about 100 of the same questions over and over again. And then we basically create this book for you that says, this is your life story. This is your business story. This is your brand. And we take that and we break that into highlights so that you have one long cohesive story, but we can always pick the top 3 or the top 5, depending on where you are in your business, to help people understand that this is the real story of your brand. This is how you've grown. This is where you've come from. And this is how you should continue to grow. So it's not just a one-time thing. It's something that you should constantly be revisiting, something you should constantly be regurgitating, because if I just got here, like for, you know, 1 million of the brands after, you know, the Buy Black Friday, no one knew who they were. No one understood what they stood for. They had just got there. So you have to constantly tell that story over and over again, because just because you said, oh, I did that last year, so what? There are new people here. You may have 5,000 new followers, and they may come to, you know, Trisha's, you know, Vibe Ride, but they don't really know her story. So she has to constantly tell them, you know, this is why I brought this here. This is what this looks like. This is why this is important. And this is what I want to make sure the feeling you walk away with every time you walk outside of our door.
That's excellent. Olivia, any questions for Jackie Palmer?
How important is it for brands to tell the stories of their customers in addition to their own?
Very. So that's what makes people also fall even deeper in love with the experience. So yeah, I may love your story and that's great, but I also want to know how other people experience you. And so it creates this loyalty fan club, you know, the Bay Hive of, you know, I remember this is what I did when I went to my first Beyonce concert. Girl, me too. And so when people can not only, you know, relate to you, but then they form a camaraderie about who you are and what you represent, that gets passed down generation after generation, just to go back to my Tide story, you know? And so it definitely creates a whole nother level of brand loyalty for you. And it's something you should never forget, and you should not neglect at all.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Jackie. That was great advice. And everyone, again, if you have any questions or comments for the ladies, please put them in the chat, and we will try to get to as many as possible. Well, you know, in business, we fall down, but we also get up. And there is nothing like a comeback story. And my next guest, Latricia Wilder, I tell you, she is the owner of Vibe Detroit. And Latricia, I know that your comeback story is going to be a good one. So come on and join us and share. Unmute yourself and be ready to share. I've got questions for you. You're still muted. Let me see. Oh, here you are. Hi, Latricia.
Can you hear me now? Are we good?
I can hear you. Mm-hmm. Yes. So how are you today? Tell people about your business, Vibe Detroit.
So, Vibe Detroit is indoor cycling studio and a boutique fitness studio. We are specializing in group fitness and everything that comes with that.
Okay, so now how much of an investment in yourself did you make when you launched Vibe Detroit?
I'm sorry, I'm having a lot of feedback, but either way, we're gonna make it happen. So I had to invest. I'm about a little over 500, maybe 600,000 into the business overall. A lot of it is my own money because I had some challenges trying to get funding, as many female entrepreneurs do, as many minority entrepreneurs do. But yeah, if you're gonna do it.
Yeah, you got a lot of skin in the game. So how are you? I mean, obviously your gym was shut down. So how did you manage this pressure emotionally?
You know what? It's a matter of believing in yourself. You're going to have your ups and your downs and your great days. But at the end of the day, if you're going to take the leap and you have enough faith in knowing that you're going to get it done, then it's not the money anymore. It's just about what does it take to get it done.
Okay, so now that Michigan has given the gyms the green light to reopen, what's your comeback plan?
Well, we actually don't have the green light anymore. We had it and then it stopped. So we're still closed, but that's okay. Because I would rather be safe than sorry. Community is at the forefront of what we do. And part of being servicing the community is also being responsible for the community and the health of the community. So I'm okay with it. But part of our comeback story is keeping the conversations open, even though the actual facility isn't open. One thing Jackie was saying is constantly telling our story. We've been doing that through communication, even though we can't physically get together.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I didn't realize that you couldn't open again. So what changes are going to...
This just happened yesterday, so don't worry. It just happened.
Okay. I'm sorry for you. So when you are able to reopen, what changes are you going to implement?
So we are definitely doing online. We were not doing streaming before, but we're putting together what our VRD used to be Vibe Ride Detroit. Now it's Vibe Ride Digital because we're working on having virtual classes, live classes, so that if you can't be in studio, especially with some of the restrictions we're going to have with capacity and operating at 40%, 50% capacity, you can feel like you're a part of the class because you'll be able to stream it from home live. So just being able to pivot.
Oh, wow. So what inequalities that you've always had have helped you get through this pandemic, and what new qualities have you developed?
So persistence has always been there, and you need that to be an entrepreneur, and you definitely need that to get over the hurdles, like a COVID-19. And one thing that I've learned a lot is patience. With that persistence, you are a go-getter, right? So you want to go and you want to constantly try to control the situation. Well, COVID has taught that you can't control everything, and some things take patience. You still need that persistence, and you still need to be ready to work it out, but you have to have patience and know that when it's the time will happen, and you have to be ready for that time, but you can't always control when that time will be.
Awesome. Olivia, do we have any questions for Latricia?
Looking right now, we had one, but she covered it with the Vibe Ride Digital, so.
Oh, okay, great. Latricia, I wish you the very best. I know this is a definite challenge, but like I said, you're going to have a great comeback story, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, hearing it, and everything else. So
thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, you know, being the boss will cost you. It could be financially, like in Latricia's situation, or personally. The grind, the hustle, whatever you call it, can cause imbalance in our lives that can lead to burnout or even worse. So I've invited wellness coach Tony Jones to share some tips on how we can achieve our goals without sacrificing our well-being. So Tony, please join us.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me good?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. So how many of you all have dropped more into well-being now more than ever? I'm sure the self-care movement in your life, the wellness, the well-being, the meditation, the stillness, all the trends of going within has been loud and clear since this 2020 has happened. I mean, we had the Kobe Bryant happen, we had the quarantine that happened, the COVID and deaths and all of these things. Business has changed. So, you know, life moves on. Business keeps going, you know, and it's like you don't just stop. So mindfulness gives us an opportunity not just to lead our lives personally, but also lead in a professional way. One of the things that I like to do to help women enroll into that mindfulness is through word. Understanding the power of their words. What are the conversations that you're saying in your mind around business? What are you saying about COVID-19? What are you saying about the inequality, the injustices that are going on? What are you speaking? And so in order for me to substantially have success with women believing that it's a critical thing to be conscious about what they say, I use science. And so there's a study by Dr. Emoto that you have to look him up. I have a worksheet that you all will receive. Right, Judith? They will receive that worksheet. Yeah, that talks about the science behind why words are powerful. And there's just scientific experiments that prove that your words are powerful. Another thing is ego work. Our ego is used to our personality being conditioned, and we learned who we are and how we respond and how we react, how we think and what we say. So doing that type of ego work helps you to actually make a choice to be consciously aware of what you're saying, what you're thinking, how are you behaving, how are you feeling when you're leading your life, when you're leading your business, when you're sending those emails, are your shoulders tense? Are you not breathing? Judith. Inside joke, but she was preparing all of this space for us. So we got to be mindful when we're leading like movements of business and holding space for entrepreneurs. We got to be examples of like taking care of ourselves, right? And I'm a student and teacher of this. I swing between learning and teaching this as well. Journal reflections. Journal is another way that we can actually take time and hold space for our cognitive bandwidth. It is so much going on that you can experience emotional burnout doing the right things. You know, so whether you're protesting, whether you're emailing, whether you're posting, whether you're taking in content to be informed, it's so important to take time to just reflect. Journaling has a way to do that. Again, on the worksheet, there's reflection questions that you can ask yourself to just guide you into, you know, prompting your mind into like asking yourself, who am I without work? What makes me feel most alive? Should I spend 90% of my day just working? You know what I'm saying? So the other thing is mindfulness practices. Simple things, simple. Drink your water. Stay hydrated. You are not a superhero. Your body is a machine and you are in charge to make sure you take care of that. So staying hydrated, set time aside, like an appointment, how you make dentist appointments, make an appointment to declutter your emails, to just create more space technologically on your laptop and stuff. So with that being said, again, there's a lot of content on the worksheet, how you can reach me, how you can put mindfulness into practice, realistically, practically. But with my closing, I want to just kind of state an affirmation I created for this space. And I just want everybody to take a deep breath in. It's really cool to be formal and to have these conversations. They're so necessary, but we are human beings, not just human doings. So I just kind of want you to listen to these words as I affirm them into this space and into your workspace as well. I am open to realize more of who I am without work. I am becoming more mindful of how I am feeling, breathing, and thinking when I am leading, producing, and creating. I call forth all support and resources I need within myself to create a life I love and enjoy and am proud of. I declare that well-being fuels my grind. I will unlearn all ways I have practiced compromising my well-being for work. These are all the facts. You all be well, stay close to your calm. Judith, thank you for bringing me into this space of productive and amazing women that are leading their lives and leading their business.
Oh, thank you so much, Tony. Thank you so much. Did we have any questions for Tony, Olivia? I see something.
Do you see one?
I see. I wonder if female entrepreneurs experience compassion. Let me go back. Let me go into the chat and see.
Experience compassion fatigue more than their male counterparts.
You're asking me that question?
Yes, please.
Ask the question one more time.
It says I wonder, but I'm going to pose it as a direct question.
Okay, got it.
Do female entrepreneurs experience compassion fatigue more than their male counterparts?
Girl, yes. Because women, listen, let's be real. Women have more emotional intelligence than men. So we're more intuitive and discerning of how people feel, whether it's customers, clients, how we feel in business. So sometimes we may overextend ourselves to help our clients and customers because we over-identifying their problems or pain points or growth areas or needs and what they need, you know, as far as servicing them. Sometimes we get passionate about projects, you know, so much so that we'll compromise our well-being, and because we feel passionate about it, we feel compassion, we feel our emotions towards our customers, hopefully, Because sometimes, you know, we've taken a more masculine approach where we shut down our feelings and our emotions when we work. And there is a space for that balance, right? But of course, I mean, to keep that in a nutshell, yes, women definitely experience that because women have a lot more emotional intelligence than men.
That's amazing. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been great. I hope you've all been learning from these phenomenal women that we've had on here today. I'm very much appreciative. So when we did the photo shoot for the Women's Work Detroit book, it was the first time that we actually gave the cover a theme. And the theme was a seat at the table. And a seat at the table to me means being able to impact and influence. And so I did ask the ladies, some of the ladies at the photo shoot, what they felt that a seat at the table meant. And so we're going to go to the slides and one moment and I'll share. One moment. Okay. And Jamie, having a seat at the table means to me building a brand and a business that's respected enough to make an impact in the community and the industry. Having a seat at the table means that you're advocating for who you are and you know you're in a room with a purpose. It also means that you have the ability to pull out a chair for somebody else. Having a seat at the table means having opportunities to make a difference, create an impact, and have the confidence to have a voice. Okay. Okay. Well, ladies, does anyone have any final advice or suggestions for our audience that they'd like to share before we leave today? We're all good?
I would just say,
okay.
I would say don't give up. Don't give up.
And that's from Latricia Wilder by Bright Detroit. Thank you, Latricia. I think there was a question for you, Latricia. I believe I saw in the chat someone asked. Go ahead, Olivia, I'll let you do it.
Were you able to collect fees for the Zoom classes during COVID-19?
For Zoom, no. What we did was we took donations to some of the instructors. We decided, though, as a choice not to charge for the classes because, again, community being front in the forefront of what we do, it was so much happening that we wanted to keep people active in a situation where we were forced to be at home versus capitalizing off of it. So what we did ask for were donations for instructors because a lot of our instructors are private. They are not only coaches, but they are private trainers. So they were completely shut down as well. But as a studio, no, we didn't charge a fee.
Great. Ladies, I'd like to thank you for joining us. I'd like to also thank our audience for showing up today. Thank you to Detroit Startup Week. Thank you to all of your sponsors. This was a great opportunity. And all I can say is something that we always say when we close our Instagram posts, which is dream, hustle, repeat. And so what does that mean? It means dream, and that means dream big. You get your idea, then you hustle, you do the work, and then once that's fulfilled, you repeat the process all over again. I wish you all the very best. I wish you prosperity, good health, balance, right, Tony? Tony, and go get them. Thank you very much.